Today's Divine Liturgy celebrates our faith that we are fed by the hand of the Lord. Every need is answered by our God. Our God is almighty, all-knowing, but very compassionate. God is with us always and in all ways, and has our back through His divine grace. For example, if I were to pray to God right now, or I might say something like this: You are ready at every moment to stir and activate our potential for good, to move our lethargy into action, to change despair into hopefulness, to soften love that has hardened, to awake slowly dying dreams, to uplift spirits caught in sadness, to guide the mind to clear thinking, to strengthen wills that are weakened, and to free that which has been bound. So we have come to this sacred space today for one purpose, and in many ways one purpose only: to seek after God, to draw closer to God, so that God might make a difference for good, first of all in our lives, and long after the service is over, in the lives of others, by us who have been blessed. And we do this, the Norbertines say, through fraternal community. There are no lone rangers. That we make a difference for good by being with one another, talking to one another, sharing with one another, and working with one another. And that's not just the mission of Norbertines, but of the entire church when baptism is conferred upon us. For we're baptized into a community to make a difference for good in the world and in the body of Christ itself. And currently, the Norbertine community in Czech Republic is exploring that vision and belief that hopefully worldwide our Norbertine communities will be making a difference for good in the world, but also in all the members of the order. And so that brings us to our wonderful gospel today, in which Jesus makes a difference for good in the lives of His audience. We celebrate His power and wisdom to multiply efforts to be good and to make a difference for good in one's personal life and in the world at large. The gospel account of the multiplication of loaves and fish eases the anxiety of His apostles, who are seemingly overwhelmed with the thought of feeding a huge crowd from so little food on hand. At times we too can feel a great loss by impossible demands on our lives. Caring for one's family, being financially stable, providing for the elderly, caring for the sick, keeping safe in a world that seems very violent, coping with natural disasters because of climate change, maintaining peace in a troubled world, curbing violent criminal behavior, and dealing with injustice. We all face these in one way or another. In today's gospel, we can be like the apostles, who feel overwhelmed Rossetti, a priest acquaintance of mine, shared with me 2 rules of thumb in making this work with the grace of God. He said, for a priest in the parish, let's say, for example, efforts to save souls can seem at times very overwhelming. Father Rossetti suggested this: hoping best